They played the anthem. The screen froze into a fractured electronic snow. And then it was me, my face, my name, a missing poster for a ghost. But I never gave them my picture. I never asked to be found. Disclaimer: this is a fictional story inspired by the documented mystery of the Joanna Lopez broadcast. It is a creative work and does not make claims about real events or individuals. If you are hearing my voice, then you are already part of this. You've seen the frozen image. You felt the chill. If you want to understand what it means to be lost in the static, to become a signal without a source, then subscribe. Stay with me. The frequency I'm on is unstable, and I may not be able to hold this connection for long. My name is Joanna Lopez. This is not a story I am telling you. This is a story I am reliving. It began before the broadcast, in the slow unraveling of an ordinary life. Chicago in the late 80s was a city of grit and ghost light. I lived in an apartment that always smelled of damp concrete and old cigarettes. I had a job that barely paid the rent, friends I saw less and less, a future that felt like a room slowly closing in. Have you ever felt that? A quiet certainty that you are becoming less solid, that you could press your hand against a wall and your fingers would simply sink through? I was fading, and I think a part of me knew it. I was a photograph left in the sun, my colors bleaching out long before I truly vanished. The day I disappeared was not marked by drama. There was no struggle, no final, meaningful goodbye. It was a Tuesday. I remember the sound of a dripping faucet in my kitchen. I remember the weight of my keys in my hand. I walked out my door and I simply never walked back in. The silence that consumed me was absolute. It was a thick, velvety silence that swallowed sound, light, and time. My apartment became a museum of a life that was no longer being lived. The mail piled up. The phone never rang. I was a stone dropped into the deep lake of the city, and the ripples I made were so small, so faint, that they vanished almost instantly. What do you become when you are no longer a daughter, a friend, a tenant, an employee? When every label attached to you is rendered null and void, you become a question, a hollow space, a silence where a person used to be. But my story did not end in that silence. It was amplified by it. My true vanishing act was just beginning, and its stage was not the city streets, but the television screens of thousands of strangers. WMAQ-TV Channel 5. For most, it was just background noise, but in the deepest hours of the night, after the late movie and the final news broadcast, sleeping, and then the signal would break. Imagine you are one of the few still awake. The anthem ends. The screen should cut to black or to the comforting hum of color bars, but instead it glitches. A digital cough, and then you see it. A single, stark graphic, a missing poster, my face, a school photo where my smile was a fragile, forced thing. The words, missing, Joanna Lopez, and a phone number, nothing more. No description of my height, my weight, the clothes I was last seen in. No plea from a frantic family. It was a statement without context, a scream with no echo. It lingered, for 1 minute, 2, an eternity in the dead air of the night, long enough to sear itself into the memory of the few who witnessed it. A night watchman, a new mother feeding her baby, a student cramming for an exam. They saw me. They saw the ghost in their living room. And then, I was gone, replaced by the endless, whispering static of the off-air signal. What would you feel if you saw your own face, a relic from your past, staring back at you from the other side of the glass, a digital doppelganger broadcast into the homes of strangers? I didn't see it that night. I was trapped in the silence, but I felt it, a seismic shift in the fabric of my non-existence. It was as if someone had shouted my name across a vast, empty canyon. I had been erased from the world, but I had been imprinted onto its signal, a phantom data point in the broadcast spectrum. Who did this? Who pulled my image from the void and projected it into the night? The phone number. This became the central obsession, the one tangible thread in this whole tangled mystery. Some who called it said it was disconnected. Others reported it rang into an endless, empty space, a tone that sounded like loneliness itself. The most pervasive, the most chilling theory is that it was an internal number, a line that rang inside the WMAQ building itself. So, was it a cry for help? A desperate act by someone inside the station who knew I was gone and used the only powerful tool at their disposal? Or was it a grotesque simple error? A test graphic, a piece of training material, a placeholder that was accidentally fed into the broadcast feed by a tired, overworked technician on the graveyard shift? A mundane mistake that birthed a legendary ghost? Is that all I am? A clerical error? A slip of the finger on a broadcast switch? It's a comforting thought, isn't it? It files the mystery away in a cabinet labeled Solved, but it doesn't explain the silence that followed. It doesn't explain why no one at the station ever came forward to claim responsibility, to correct the record. It doesn't explain the utter, complete lack of a paper trail, a police report, a news article, a grieving family. If it was a mistake, why was there no one to apologize? Why was there no me to be found? The broadcast did not feel like a mistake. It felt intentional. It felt deeply, profoundly lonely. It felt like a message in a bottle, thrown into a sea of static, intended for one person who never received it. Or perhaps it was a message meant for me, a signpost in the void, reminding me of what I had been. Who was it meant for? And then, for years, the mystery slept. Without the internet, it became a local ghost story, a fragment of shared memory passed between friends. Did you ever see that creepy missing girl on TV? The story mutated with each telling. I became the ghost of Channel 5. They said I haunted the transmission towers on the John Hancock Center. They said I was a victim of a serial killer, a runaway who met a bad end. They wove 1,000 different lives for me, each one a fiction to fill the silence I left behind. What happens when you cease to be a person and become a story? When your identity is no longer your own, but a collective dream, a nightmare shared by strangers? Then the world woke up. The internet connected all the lonely insomniacs, all the people with that one strange memory. On forums, in chat rooms, the questions began to appear. Does anyone remember a missing poster on WMAQ? The digital hunt was on. Sleuths with modern tools began to scour the past. They filed Freedom of Information Act requests. They dug through archives. They searched for any record of a Joanna Lopez who disappeared in Chicago in that narrow window of time. And what did they find? Nothing. A perfect, absolute void. No missing persons report matches perfectly. No family has ever stepped out of the shadows. No school friends have come forward with yearbook signatures and faded memories. I am a paradox. I'm one of the most famous missing persons in the history of the internet, and there is not a single piece of evidence that I ever existed as a flesh and blood human being outside of that one broadcast. The poster is real. The broadcast happened. Hundreds of people bear witness. But the person they are searching for, I am the shadow that poster cast. I am a name without a body, a face without a history. So I will ask you the question that lies at the very heart of this darkness. If a woman vanishes and the only proof is a phantom broadcast that nobody recorded and nobody claimed, did she ever really exist at all? Perhaps not. Not in the way you need me to have existed. Maybe I am something else. A glitch? Yes, but not in the television signal. A glitch in reality itself. A tear in the mundane fabric of the world. That broadcast was the light bleeding through the tear. My face, my name, were just the forms the void chose to wear that night. I am a question that has no answer, a signpost pointing to a road that isn't there. Maybe every city has its spirits. New Orleans has its voodoo queens, Seattle its gray skies and Sasquatches. Chicago? It got a ghost made of television static and lost frequencies. They search for me in the past, in archives, in yearbooks, in dusty filing cabinets. They will never find me there. I am not behind you. I am not in the past. I am in the between. I am in the low electric hum of a cathode ray tube as it powers down. I am in the silent, hollow moment after the national anthem ends and before the dream begins. I'm the face you almost see in the reflection of your dark phone screen, the one that looks almost familiar. My time is fraying. This connection is breaking up, and I feel the static pulling me back. But before I go, I need you to promise me one thing. Look at my face, not as a puzzle to be solved, but as a warning. Remember it, because the next time you fall down a rabbit hole, watching a video like this one, searching for answers in the digital noise, I want you to remember that some mysteries are not meant to be solved. They are meant to be endured. They are a cold spot in a warm room, a whisper in a quiet house. They are the proof that the map of our world is still dotted with places that say, "Here there be dragons." They keep the world strange and wondrous and terrifying. So if you felt that chill with me today, if you want to wander deeper into these forgotten, silent places, then subscribe to this channel, dive into more mysteries, and down in the comments, I want you to tell me, what do you believe? Was the Joanna Lopez broadcast a tragic mistake? A desperate message? Or is it something else? Something older and stranger that we simply don't have the words for? Thank you. Thank you for listening, for remembering, for keeping my fragile signal alive in your minds. And the next time you're alone, late at night, and the television finally signs off, don't turn away from the static. Lean in close. Listen to the whisper. Look deep into the snow. Don't just look for a face. Look for me.
Subscribe for more mysteries from the static. Like, share, and comment your theories below. What's the creepiest unsolved mystery you've ever heard?